What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I'd like to wish you a happy Sunday, a football-less Sunday at that. And news broke yesterday afternoon about the identity of the pilot, supposedly of the Blackhawk, the U.S. Army Blackhawk, that crashed into American Airlines flight 5342 this past Wednesday. Now, we've been covering this story on this channel, and I said a few things on here, my opinion of what I thought. I said, I thought the plane was flown remotely, and I still think a little bit of that. And, I was saying, why haven't they identified the pilot? It seemed like she was the last person to be identified. And now she's come out to be this woman here. May she rest in peace, Rebecca Lobach. This woman's a 12th Aviation Battalion pilot at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Shout out Fort Belvoir. And as a fellow veteran, my heart goes out to her and her family. Now, I was wondering why it took so long for this to happen. It be released. And supposedly, the Army had initially refused to identify Miss Lobach because of the request of her family. I guess they were in a grieving period, which sounds understandable. And this video is a little bit about who she was and how she got to be a pilot. And we'll come back and I'll say a few things. Take a look.
From CBS 17 News.
I would not be the woman I am. I would not be the officer I am, without her.
Breaking news tonight, the Army identifies Captain Rebecca Lobach from Durham as one of 3 soldiers inside the Blackhawk helicopter involved in a deadly mid-air collision with an American Airlines plane.
We spoke to friends and family hearing what they have to say tonight as this tragic news unfolds. This is what we know right now about this deadly mid-air collision. At least 41 bodies have been recovered, 28 of them identified. The black box for the airline as well as the helicopter have been found. A full investigation could take at least a year, according to officials.
Friends across the Triangle are shocked and grieving tonight. Lobach graduated from UNC Chapel Hill after going through the ROTC program there, eventually becoming a pilot.
CBS 17's Dina Hartley joins us now. And Dina, you were the first person to break this story nationally. So tell us, what's the latest?
Yeah, so I've spent really all day today talking to a lot of her friends, people who knew her, people that were texting her the day of the crash, checking in on her. They told me those texts never went delivered. They talked a lot about her experience as a pilot, of course, but her friends told me more important than that. They really just want her to be remembered as a good friend. They told me she had a contagious laugh. They're obviously just shocked and devastated to hear this, but now they really want her to be remembered for who she actually was.
I would not be the woman I am. I would not be the officer I am, without her.
Lexi Freeze chokes up talking about Rebecca Lobach, her fellow military member, mentor, and friend.
Always giggling together, and it was just you always had fun with Rebecca. If I had a situation and I needed help, she was there and figuring it out for me.
Rebecca was one of the pilots inside of a Blackhawk helicopter involved in a fatal crash this week in D.C. She's a Durham native who graduated from UNC Chapel Hill in 2019, where she was involved in ROTC. Several friends tell me they texted Rebecca after hearing about the crash to check in on her, but those texts never went through. One of Rebecca's best friends, Sam Brown, didn't want to talk on camera, but says Rebecca was a distinguished military graduate from UNC Chapel Hill. It's a distinction only given to the top 20% of all cadets nationwide. Brown says Rebecca was a patriot who loved her country and trained to be the best of the best. Other friends say they owe their entire careers to Rebecca's mentorship.
If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be an aviation officer in the DC Guard. I don't know if I'd be an aviation officer at all. She really inspired my entire career. For weeks, I would send her a job posting, be like, I'm going to apply to this. And I'd send her my resume and cover letter, and she would tweak things for me and help me prep for interviews.
Another friend, Sabrina Bell, also didn't want to go on camera, but she says Rebecca was the happiest person she has ever known. She says Rebecca was meticulous in everything she did and never acted impulsively. Other friends say Rebecca was determined.
Not only did she care about being a leader and being the best officer she could, but also about being the best pilot she could.
And now her legacy lives on.
My goal for when I leave in flight school in April is to follow in her footsteps and bring her honor through all I do.
And the fellow service members and the friends who say Rebecca's heel love, her dedication to her country, and her open heart are what they're going to remember.
She was just the type of person that would always go above and beyond for the people that she loved.
And Rebecca's family did release a statement today as well that says in part, quote, Rebecca was many things. She was a daughter, sister, partner, and friend. She was a servant, a caregiver, an advocate. Most of all, she was loved and she loved. Her life was short, but she made a difference in the lives of all who know her, end quote. You can find that full statement and much more from her friends and her legacy on our website, CBS17.
Okay, guys, that's the story of the pilot, Rebecca Lobach. May she rest in peace, her and everybody else that died in this tragedy, both on the commercial airline and the military helicopter. Now, I want to talk about a few things. I'm going to say a few things. First thing is this. Said this woman had 1,500 hours of flight time. Didn't say how many flight hours the other people had, but that's a lot of flight hours. And, you know, looking at the situation, you know, and they had a press conference yesterday, you know, about the safety. The safety board had a press conference where they were talking about what they think went wrong and where they are in the investigation. They're saying it's going to take up to a year, maybe so. But with 1,500 flight hours, basic flight control options of stopping, starting, hovering, and things like that, you would know. Regardless if she had on night vision goggles or if she didn't have on night vision goggles, because in the meeting yesterday they were talking about a whole bunch of stuff, you still see the plane there. So it doesn't make sense. Then it looked like the helicopter veered into the plane. Now I'm explaining a couple of things to you of why I think that happened. If you watched that meeting yesterday, right, where they were trying to explain, giving that press conference where they was trying to give an explanation, they said that the Army helicopter was on one frequency while the commercial jet was on another frequency, right? Now, they both could hear the air traffic controller, but they couldn't communicate with each other. But my thing is this. Anytime you're in the air, there are certain procedures, certain, you know, trip patterns that these helicopters flying and also these commercial jets. It's no way, and I still am trying to figure this out, that a military aircraft would be flying through a direct runway path of a commercial jet. Now, I mean, the airport could be here, but they could have some type of route where they either fly around it or what? Because yesterday in that meeting they had, that press conference, they said the air traffic controller distinctively told the pilot, I guess it was Miss Lobach, to slow down and go behind the plane as it passed. So they said it was 1,000 feet. It was more than enough time to do that. Somebody's going to be a fall guy in this, whether it was willful error or honest mistake. But I mean, to have a military jet flying in a busy airport at night, and these Blackhawks cost millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? That's a high-tech piece of machinery. And I was in the military, I was in the Air Force. They treat them jets and them planes and stuff, you know, as high priority. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't even see why they would have that even going through that type of scenario where it could be a risk of somebody getting hurt. I put up a poll yesterday where I said if we really get full transparency, I honestly believe there's going to be a fall guy in this. There is. And I mean, it's messed up because they said 67 people died. And speaking of 67 people dying, they said there were 4 survivors. Y'all remember that? They said they pulled 4 survivors out of the Potomac. Name the hospital they went to and everything. How come we ain't heard nothing about it? Not anyone from that to no survivors. In the same night, pretty much. And multiple news outlets reported there was 4 people. Where happened to the 4 people? I don't understand this whole situation, but I do know this, man. You know, this was an avoidable tragedy, and it's just strange that a military plane hits a commercial plane when military have distinct instructions on how to move around civilian activity. You understand? Does that make sense to anybody? You know, and I'm not saying it's a conspiracy or anything like that. I'm not, but it's just weird that you had a pilot with 1,500 flight hours, a co-pilot, a crew chief aboard, because there's supposed to be 3 of them, a crew chief aboard, and nobody could react and say, hey, it's a plane over there, watch out. That's just my opinion. In the comment section, man, tell me what you guys really think about this, what your honest assessment is. I mean, because I don't know. I mean, you know, I sit on here and I talk with you guys and I try to get you guys to interact in the comment section, which you guys do, and I do respect that. But like in the comment section, maybe it's something I'm missing, or maybe it's something somebody else is missing. It's just a good time for us to have some type of engagement to bring awareness, because a lot of you guys are ex-military. You guys were in the Army. I was in the Air Force. I know about cargo planes, C-5s, 141s, you know, that type of stuff. You know, that's my expertise. Helicopters is not. But I mean, the military is the military, because the protocol is the protocol. Responsibility is responsibility. This is some irresponsible stuff, and I don't know who's at fault, and I doubt if we'll ever find out the honest truth. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace and condolences, prayers and condolences to the victims' families and the victims themselves. See you in the next video. Take care.